Yo guys, always good. Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. We are getting closer and closer till our beloved Inter comes back from the international break. I know we're probably not too fond of Inter coming back. We've actually enjoyed this international break, even though some injuries out there obviously didn't help us. But today's main aim of this video is to talk about the ongoing developing situation with Inter sale. We're going to talk about how the USA actually might be the ultimate answer to finding new buyers, or could there be American buyers? So we'll get into that and the latest news of Inter. Let's go. Here we go, guys. First news of the day. And by the way, make sure you're leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. We are close to 4K, guys. Come on, let me get to 4K before the end of this month. But yeah, so there's a new player in town for the Inter sale in terms of looking for buyers. So we know that Goldman Sachs was given the mandate to sell Inter, to find a buyer. That mandate has been renewed and has been ongoing for over a year, as far as we know, because Inter have been on sale for a while. But the preference was to look for partners or minority shareholders rather than selling the whole pie. But now it's pretty much confirmed that we're going to be trying to sell the whole pie. And now there's another company that's helping Suning and Inter to find someone. They're called Raine Group, another US-based banking group similar to Goldman Sachs. And that news has come out today in the Italian business newspaper Il Sole 24 Ore, 24 hours. It's a pretty decent source in terms of when it comes to financial things in Italy. And yeah, this is the Raine Bank, or Raine Group actually are the people that facilitated the sale of Chelsea this year. They've worked with the City Group, as in Manchester City, with some of their dealings. They've worked with FIFA, so they are major players in the world of football, but also other sports as well. So it's a well-known, highly reputed company alongside Goldman Sachs. So we've got two American-based companies working for us, searching for new investors. As we know, the situation at Inter, financially speaking, is not looking too great. The Nerazzurri owners need to find a cash influx that the club are still operating very much in the red, with 120 million losses set to be recorded in their accounts for this fiscal year just gone. Whilst we know there's a 400 million debt bond that still remains, and of course that Oak Tree loan as well. So yeah, it's predicted that. So there's going to be the shareholders and directors meeting tomorrow for Inter, and in that they will, approve the latest financial results, which are predicted to be around about 120 million in terms of losses, which is pretty bad, of course, but obviously nowhere near as bad as last year, the 200 million plus record loss, which was beaten by Juve just a few days ago. But pretty much halving that. So it's actually good, but still quite bad. But it just shows how much of a loss-making business Inter are right now, which is why there's not many buyers out there. Goldman Sachs have been looking for a while. Now they've got Raine Group, so hopefully they find someone willing to pay what we know the asking price of 1.2 billion euros. As we said, Suning wanted minority shareholders in an ideal world, but now the stance appears to be shifting towards the favor of an outright sale, as they wish to avoid the possible eventuality of losing control to Oak Tree Capital. As we know, Inter or Suning don't pay back the 275 million loan plus 12% interest, which adds up to around 300 million plus they have to repay back. If they're unable to repay the significant loan from last summer, and with no end in sight to mounting financial problems, Oak Tree will take over. But Oak Tree also have said they don't want to take over Inter, so it's a tricky situation. The contact with the Raine Group represents an important step in this direction, as the US bank is heavily involved in sports, media, particularly in European football. As I said, facilitating the Chelsea sale. The interest in buying big European clubs appears to be largely from US rather than from Asia or Middle East, and the Raine Group have connections with interested US-based buyers, which could be useful in finding Nerazzurri buyers. In the coming weeks, a law firm will likely be contacted for a consulting role in future negotiations, according to Il Sole 24 Ore, and the sense is that Suning are serious about looking for buyers. And yeah, in terms of my title, the US guys, the USA, I've said in the past, you can believe the PIF rumors, Saudis, and whatever the sheikhs coming in. There's apart from there's been confirmed talks in the past with Mubadala and PIF as well, but there's never been, as far as we know from reliable sources, anything developed. And I think, as we've seen in Serie A, as I've said many times in the past, Fiorentina, Spezia, Genoa, Atalanta, Parma, AC Milan, like there's so many American-based firms that are buying in Serie A. They see Serie A as an undervalued asset that they can improve to make money in the future by increasing the value and eventually making profit. Because if you try to buy a Premier League clubs, they will cost you triple, quadruple the amount of money. Whereas in Italy, you can buy one of the best clubs in Italy right now. As AC Milan sold for 1.3, Inter looking for 1.2 billion. It's an undervalued asset right now, but also a very high loss-making asset. So there needs to be a turnaround. But I think actually, ideally, I don't want a US investment firm at Inter, but it's probably better for Serie A that so many US-based firms are coming in, because I think that is they will slowly have a shift in terms of how much power they have as well, and start having more of a say in how the Serie A is run. So in the long term, the fact that the USA and US-based firms are having more and more of a say in Serie A is actually going to be a benefit to Serie A in the long term, because we know the marketing, the way it's sold around the world, Serie A, it's been run by dinosaurs. It needs to improve. But for Inter, we've talked about it many times, that is not my ideal company firm to be buying. Investment firms, they're not looking to the sporting results are not their focus. They want to make money at the end of the day, which is football these days. But at the moment, anyone that's able to inject cash and capital into the team and able to actually keep players and stabilize the situation at Inter is what is needed, even if it is an investment-based firm. Speaking of cash injection, though, or capital injection, there has been a development today, according to Marco Bellinato, who also works for Sole 24 Ore. He says the positive news is that there will be a capital injection by Suning. And you must be like, whoa, thought they were broke. Yeah, don't worry, they still are. So these injection will be to cover the losses, and it will be approved at the directors meeting tomorrow. But the only way this is going to happen, this is the only way it's going to happen, they're not going to, because they can't physically do it themselves. So they haven't actually used most of the loan from Oak Tree, the 270 million plus loan. They only used, I think, around 75 million, if I remember correctly. But anyway, they will use a chunk of that to cover the losses, and there will be this capital injection. So it's not 100% confirmed. But as I tweeted underneath, and I was talking about it the other day with the Curva Nord statement, with everything that's going on around Inter, to me, this again is pointing all in the direction of cleaning up the accounts and preparing for a sale. So yeah, doesn't make too much of a difference in terms of them injecting that cash, but it's the last bit of usage probably they're going to get out of that Oak Tree loan. But of course, all we need to hope is that we actually find buyers. And as I talked about on previous live streams, the political situation in general in China at the moment is going to force Suning to sell, whether they like it or not. So in November, during a Congress of Chinese Communist Party, that could be decisive for Suning and Inter, because there will be some decisions made by the CCP regarding that could force the current owners of Inter to hand, if they tighten the restriction even further on Chinese companies investing in football abroad. I mean, it's already pretty tight, but if they just ban it completely, then they literally will have no choice. The CCP stance looks to be changing towards a focus on building a football within China, to which they see international investment as a distraction. The matter will come up for discussion during the CCP's Congress, which starts next month, and the decision should arrive in November, according to La Repubblica, which could push Suning strongly in the direction of selling Inter. 100%, because once the CCP decides on something, Suning, no one's got the power to change those decisions, because that's how China is run. And the other geopolitical reasons I've mentioned in the past, if China decide to invade Taiwan, or those kind of the ramifications of that. Italy banning Chinese or boycotting Chinese products or companies, or doing what happened to basically Chelsea in England because of the Ukraine war, because of Abramovich being Russian and all that kind of stuff. There's so many uncertainties regarding China's relationship with the West. So it really, really just makes sense now for Suning to sell Inter. And on the talk of stabilizing the situation at Inter, it's really important because the contract situations, guys, are not helping our players on the pitch. As we know, we can blame Inzaghi, we can blame the players, which I have blamed the players a lot up until now this season, but situations off the pitch is very distracting, especially for a guy like Milan Skriniar. Today, I'm sure everyone saw the rumors about potential contract stalemate, or Skriniar not wanting to renew with Inter because of the PSG interest. And of course his contract expires by the end of this season, which if we lose Skriniar on a free, my goodness, I'm gonna be suicidal. But anyway, Corriere della Sera talks about Nerazzurri want to reach a resolution in the contract extension talks, but the PSG remain interested, we know, and the problem is we can't match PSG's offer. I mean, PSG went up to 8-9 million net, guys, which is tripling the money he's on. At the moment, he's around 3.5 million net. So they literally pretty much tripled his money. We're looking to potentially double his money with the reported contract offer of around 6.5, which would make him, take him next to Brozovic and Lautaro, quite rightly, as the top earner, one of the top earners of the team. But we can't match PSG's 8 and 9 million of those, those crazy offers. So at the same time, I talked about in the summer, I thought he was going to leave in the summer, to be honest, guys, if you watch my videos. But then I thought that as soon as the transfer window was over, Skriniar would sign a new contract with Inter. I thought everything was ready, everything was agreed. But I think, again, I don't really blame Skriniar if his head is turned from the massive offer, and of course PSG being one of the leaders in European football in general. But the situation at Inter is not encouraging, of course, for a player if you want to sign long term. I think more clarity around Inter's ownership, if someone comes in or is announced that someone's coming in soon, could persuade Skriniar, other people that need to renew, to sign. Maldini talked about it with Milan because they had that situation with the ownership in the summer. And he said some players stalled with contract negotiations to see what would happen with the ownership. And it's quite right, if you work somewhere, you want to know who you're working for, or how long you're going to be working for them. So it's really, really important to get that situation sorted as soon as possible. I'm not going to get too much into the Skriniar stuff because at the moment, guys, it's the international break. The media is using any little thing to talk and make a negative spin on anything related to Inter. Of course, I am worried about the Skriniar situation, and I'm sure everyone is, as you should be. But let's wait on developments. Skriniar is a little bit different person that we're talking about when it comes to this. Let's see how things develop on that, but they need to definitely make an official, negotiation needs to start soon. I don't want no stall, and they need to put in an offer at least to the 6.5 million. If he rejects it, then we know that he wants this PSG money and fame, which again I don't blame him for, but then at least we know. But let's see how that develops. Let's not panic yet. We saw Brozovic, it took him ages last season to sign. I mean, I think, was it February or March actually until he signed his contract. Those went on for ages, the Brozovic negotiations. The international break wasn't very nice to us in terms of the Brozovic, not just contract, because he got injured. As I posted on my YouTube, his hamstring popped. They're talking about 25 to 30 days potentially. So not great news for us. Lukaku looks like he might still not be fit enough to start against Roma, which is a shame. Hakan might be back, but again, probably not starting. But we'll see. I'll obviously keep you up to date. We'll do a proper match preview for the Roma game. Make sure you guys stay up to date. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on everything that's going on at Inter. What do you make of the American potential ownerships, Skriniar situation? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Ciao ragazzi. Always, Forza Inter.